today, and we're going to take you through just some general hints and tips about studying in the UK and the application process in the UK. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Venya. Thank you, Venya.
And a quick hello from me. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'll take you through a few slides. Is Russell Group universities. So think of the Russell Group universities as the equivalent of the Ivy League universities in the USA. Russell Group universities boast a fantastic research and innovation capabilities, and students who are very, very interested in research, innovation, technology, and this sort of stuff normally aspire to join Russell Group universities. In the UK, and especially within the Russell Group, you should expect to be taught by professors who are, of course, on top of their career, and they might have a fantastic CV outside of the confines of the university. They might be running their own businesses, they might be doing research nationally, internationally, for government, for other agencies. So they'll be able to bring all this hands-on experience into the classroom as well. Most universities have academics that come from different education backgrounds from different countries. So again, they'll be able to bring the international dimension in the classroom, which I'm sure for international students, it will be really, really interesting. The UK is known for a fantastic good staff ratio in the classroom, and that's really, really important, especially for really robust courses. It's really important for the students to have direct access to the academics and to feel that they're not just a number in a classroom, but to feel that if they need to, they can gain access to the academic, talk through a problem or something interesting that they might have come across in a journal or through their study at the library. In terms of the other aspect of a university degree, most university degrees have some element of hands-on experience. That could be through work experience or an industrial placement, or for students who are not interested in the hands-on experience, to go off and work for a semester, or during the summer they might be interested in a study abroad opportunity. Especially language students are particularly interested in spending a semester or a year overseas in Europe, the US, or Asia. And moving on to the next slide. In terms of style of teaching, now the style of teaching in the UK is definitely quite different to the USA and Canada. Typically, a bachelor's undergraduate degree will be 3 to 4 years, with the exception of medical degrees, of course. Unlike other countries, in the UK, we would expect the aspiring applicants to apply directly to a course. In terms of, if you like, the philosophy of a degree, in the UK, we teach quite a lot of depth within an area of interest. So as an example, if a student is interested in a law degree or in business or history, from day one, they'll be taught modules which are relevant and related to the degree they'll be graduating with. There are, of course, electives, but from day one, there is quite a lot of specialization. As opposed to the USA, as an example, that students can explore a very wide range of modules. And that's I think the main difference between the two education systems. So in terms of how we teach the methodology, the students should expect to have lectures and also seminars. So lectures, you will normally be taught in a lecture theatre alongside 50, 100, 150 other classmates. And this is the opportunity for the lecturers to pass on to you quite a lot of knowledge in a condensed sort of fashion. But then, of course, you can explore, you can discuss all these ideas, research, new findings within a seminar setting. Normally seminars are between 5 to 10 students with a tutor, and there's quite a lot of led study there. So this is your opportunity to ask any questions or clarify anything you might have heard in the lecture. Now, at Oxford and Cambridge, we have the very unique supervision/tutorial system. So that's different to lectures and seminars. So this is an opportunity to have one-to-one interactions with a tutor. In a very safe environment. You can bring in your supervision or tutorial a piece of work that you might have pulled together, a draft, discuss it. You might wish to discuss something that you came across as part of your research. You'll be asked questions, you'll answer questions, you can bring a classmate in the supervision to make the conversation a little bit more lively. One of the reasons that we do quite like supervisions at Cambridge, they're called tutorials at the University of Oxford, is because we teach in quite a robust manner. So it's a way to make sure that no student actually falls behind in terms of their learning and progress on the programme. And also it's very much, it's a very student-led process. So it's your time and you can use it as you see fit. In the UK, we do expect quite a lot of independent study. So outside of the lectures, the seminars and the tutorials, you are expected to do quite a lot of independent study. You can do research, you can pull together drafts for coursework, or prepare for exams. So normally an average time that we expect students to focus on their independent study is 2 to 3 hours every day during term time. That's sort of an average. In terms of how we assess, so there are various modes of assessment. Exams are very much a feature at the University of Cambridge, but of course there is coursework. And the coursework and what weight will the exams or the coursework have in terms of grades, that differs from university to university. So it is worth, when your students do research as to which university they aspire to have a clear understanding of how their course is going to be assessed. Some students are very nervous about exams, some aren't, so it depends. It depends what they feel comfortable with, and that should be one of the things that they should check before applying for a particular programme at a particular university. Moving on to student life. So of course, you know, especially for students who aspire to research intensive, robust universities and courses, the expectation is that they will spend quite a lot of their time studying. Having said that, it's very important for undergraduate students to have a fantastic student experience while spending 3, 4, 5 years studying their undergraduate study. So there are many opportunities to engage outside of the classroom, lots of clubs and societies. Some clubs and societies are nationality-based, some may be culture-based or religion-based. Some clubs and societies are affiliated to a particular sport, so it's up to the applicant to figure out whether they wish to pursue a sport competitively or just sign up to a sports society and play sport just for fun. Completely up to them. The UK is very, very well known for having a very, very, very diverse culture. So especially in spring and summer, when the weather is a little bit better, students up and down the country can join music festivals and theatre performances, and they can go on excursions, whether they are fond of the seaside or visit other cities across the UK, so it's completely up to them. And for those who have a budget in mind, students in the UK have access to all sorts of discounts, which they can take advantage of as part of the I think the Student Union card that they'll be given when they start the program with us. So in terms of work experience and internships, this is something that we touched upon before. These can be arranged through the career services. So for students who wish to have some hands-on experience before they graduate with a UK degree, they can either go off for a sandwich year, which is a year outside the classroom to pursue work endeavours, or for those who wish to have some hands-on experience but they don't want to commit to being outside the classroom for a whole year, they can do so during summers. At the University of Cambridge, our terms are quite compact, so that means that the summer vacation is much longer, perhaps, than other universities, and that is a fantastic opportunity for students to pursue internships or placements during a longer summer period. In terms of location, lots of UK universities are dotted around the UK. Some are rural, some are semi-rural, some are based in the middle of the city. That's completely down to preference. All the support and the student support and welfare is a standard, no matter what your location is. Some students are more comfortable in a city environment. Some prefer the fresh air and the quaint environment of a more rural or a semi-rural setting. You might come across the term campus. So a campus, think of it as a self-contained university on one plot. City centre universities, normally they have buildings dotted around the city. And of course, collegiate universities, Cambridge and Oxford are collegiate universities. Students are part of a college and a university as well. So think of as an example, think of the University of Cambridge as the umbrella organisation, and then the colleges operate underneath the umbrella organisation in an autonomous fashion, but under the umbrella of the University of Cambridge. So for Cambridge and Oxford students, the applicants need to make a decision on college they wish to apply to. Every college has a different look and feel to it, and perhaps a different ethos. So really, really important for the students to do research and college-based research as well before they apply to Oxbridge. Moving on to the next slide. In terms of exploring the UK, there are quite a few breaks around the academic calendar, lots of long weekends, and of course the long summer holidays. So we absolutely encourage our international students to explore beyond Cambridge and really get a good feel of what the UK is like. So Cambridge is positioned in a really, really fantastic area. London is 90 minutes away on the train, and then we've got quite a few airports dotted around Cambridge. So it's quite easy to travel from place to place, whether that's the UK or Europe. The UK has got a fantastic railway system as well. So for students who want to be a little bit more eco-friendly, they can jump on a train and visit Wales, Scotland, or even pop to Paris for the weekend, which I'm sure quite a few students might be quite enthused by the prospect of being able to pop in and out of Europe almost overnight. I think the British cuisine, I think that's quite underrated. I think lots of international students make funny jokes about the British cuisine when they first arrive. It's not just about fish and chips or beans on toast. I think depending on the area that you might be visiting, I'm hoping that the students will be able to try the local delicacies. Every county has got something different to offer, but definitely I would absolutely recommend a nice cone on the coast on a hot summer day. Okay, moving on to the next slide. And I will pass you on to my colleague Sarah, who will take you through the application process for UK universities.
Thank you, Vanya. Thank you for explaining a little bit more about universities in the UK. In terms of applying to universities in the UK, it's a little bit different to applications that your students might have thought about if they're considering other universities overseas, such as the US, Canada, or in their own home countries if they're not in those countries. The first major difference between the UK and most other countries is that the course choice comes first. So choosing a course is possibly the most important thing that your students will do when considering the UK. So it's really important, as Vanya mentioned, because students will specialise from very, very early on in their studies, that they think about what they really enjoy and what they want to learn at a really deep level for 3, 4 or 5 years. If your students are interested in areas such as medicine or engineering, then they already know that there are specific courses that might be appropriate to them. If they're not so sure, then think about the kind of things that they enjoy and that they would like to explore further. It's also really essential that your students look at the course details and understand really what the course entails, because the way that courses are taught are very different at different UK universities. So using things like university web pages, using the UCAS guides, using resources such as Unifrog or attending university fairs really helps students to shortlist the way that the courses are taught, the kind of details that courses, the content that courses have. So for instance, if a student wants to study English at Cambridge, it may be taught in a very different way. There may be very different papers or modules taught at Cambridge as compared to English in other universities. So it's really important to get behind what's included in that course so that they know that they're making the best choice. The other thing that students should be very aware of is any specific subject requirements or grades for the course. So are they on track to meet the subject requirements for the course that they've chosen? Are they taking the correct subjects? So for instance, medicine in the UK frequently requires chemistry. If students are interested in engineering, they will be looking at physics and maths. And even if a student is looking at something like economics, they may well be required to take maths as one of their courses. Once you've shortlisted courses, students really need to look at then what that university can offer or what university they feel they might be most comfortable at. As again, Vanya said, there are a number of different universities that suit all manner of students. So it might be that students are considering either a city or a campus university. For some students, the fact of being in a large, vibrant, bustling city is ideal. They're excited about getting out and about, exploring, perhaps being part of a community. For others, you know, for international and home students alike, that can be quite intimidating if they're first moving away from home. And for them, a campus university, which is a little bit more rural and provides learning and living accommodation on one site, might be better suited. It may be that you go for a mixture of both. So somewhere like Cambridge, which is a collegiate university, the colleges are very much like mini campuses spread around within the city, so getting the advantage of both the campus environment and being part of a city and a community. It's also important to recognise what universities offer the course. For instance, Cambridge does not offer business courses at an undergraduate level. So does the university you're considering even offer the course that you want to do in a style that you want to learn? And again, the entry requirements, as we've talked about, are you or your students meeting those entry requirements? So a university like Cambridge has exceedingly stringent entry requirements, typically looking for A-star, A-star A, A-level, 40 to 42 points at IB, or the highest level of alternate qualifications. And if your students aren't on track to meet these requirements, it might be time for an honest conversation about what other universities might suit them best. Teaching styles may come into it. Again, Vanya's mentioned the supervision system at Cambridge, which suits many students. Many students really enjoy that kind of academic discourse. For other students, that might not be a style that they feel comfortable with. Students might consider other opportunities, like the opportunity to take a placement year to study abroad. It may be things like cost of living in that location. Some cities are much more expensive to live in. It might be things like, do you have friends or family that have studied there or have been there and have access? Some students will say, I want to go there because I know that my friends have been there or other people at my school have been there. Other students will say to us, I want to be as far away from my family as possible in a city. The other thing to do is to look at rankings. So sometimes students get very hung up on rankings, but again, apart from the rankings, it's what the course actually offers and whether that course offers what the student wants to learn, regardless of the ranking of that course or university. Again, plenty of information can be found out about all these things through things like open days, if students can attend. Many universities also have online open days, virtual tours where they can access information over the internet, talking to university representatives, looking on the UCAS guides, finding out a little bit about what university they feel might suit them best. In terms of making an application to the UK, the University College and Admission Service, or UCAS, is the central portal in the UK where all UK university applications are generally made. It allows for up to 5 university courses in the UK with one application. It's centrally organised and has one application fee. So it's £27 for 2 to 5 universities or £22.50 for one. And again, that does mean that students only need to complete one application as opposed to applying to individual colleges or universities separately. The application form includes things like an education history, so all grades and exams taken since about grade 10 or year 11, a teacher's reference and predicted grades, because most students will be completing the UCAS application in their final year of study and before they've taken their final grades, then a teacher reference and predicted grades is vitally important for the UCAS form. And there will be more information on making a Cambridge application later on in the IGCC. It also includes a personal statement for the student, where this is their opportunity to tell us a little bit more about themselves outside of the qualifications that they've gained. There is a deadline for specific courses on UCAS. So if your students are looking at Cambridge, Oxford, medicine, dentistry, or veterinary science, then the closing date is the 15th of October, the year prior to entry. For most other UK courses, the closing date is late January of the year of entry. In terms of personal statements, this is an area where many students have a lot of questions and where a lot of counsellors give a lot of support to their students. It's very simply, it's 4,000 characters or 47 lines, and it really gives students an opportunity to tell us more about themselves and also an opportunity to reflect on their own research into a subject, to tell us why they're particularly interested in a subject, what they have done to investigate that subject, what they can reflect on, why they're suitable for the course. And it gives them an opportunity to really find out for themselves and to challenge themselves about their interest in the course. It's really a snapshot of what makes them a great student to study in that particular subject area. This personal statement does go to all 5 of the applications that the student has made. And it should be made up of at least 80% academic content. And with this, we're referring to what we call supercurricular activities. So these are activities where a student has gone above and beyond the school curriculum to demonstrate their interest in a subject. So it might be journals or extra reading that they've undertaken. It might be TED Talks that they've listened to. It might be plays they've seen or exhibitions they've seen either in person or online. It might be MOOC courses they've taken part in or Olympiads they've taken part in. All these things that they should then reflect upon as to what they've learned and what they've taken from this and how this has impacted their interest in the subject. If students are looking at adding their extracurricular activities, this should be about 20% of the content. And we're really looking not so much for a checklist of what a student has participated in, but the transferable skills that they've taken. So be it team building skills, time management skills, communication skills. So these are the kinds of things that we're looking at. And there will be, again, further information on personal statements during this conference. In terms of receiving offers, all students are notified of offers through the UCAS Track website, and it's most likely that these offers will be conditional. These conditions might be based on obtaining specific grades in final exams. It might be in terms of obtaining specific English language requirements if English is not their first language. And once a conditional offer has been made, this is binding on the part of the university. So once those conditions are met, the student will be offered a place if they have accepted a conditional offer. In terms of accepting offers, again, this is done through UCAS Track. And out of the 5 applications, students may then accept 2 offers. So their firm offer, the one that they really want to go to, their top choice, and then secondly, an insurance offer, which usually perhaps has lower conditions than the firm choice as sort of a backup. There is a deadline to accept these offers, and that really varies. So again, it's really important that your students check the UCAS Track on a regular basis to make sure that they meet all deadlines given to them. And finally, I'll hand back to my colleague Vanya to bring everything together.
I forgot to unmute myself after so many years of practice. Sarah, would you mind popping the presentation to our final slide? Fantastic, thank you. And just a couple of more bullet points from us as a summary, and for just for us to be able to communicate the key takeaways from today's session. So the top benefits of students studying in the UK, as both me and Sarah briefly mentioned before, is the focus and the specialization that the UK higher education system provides. As we mentioned before, you know, from day one, the students will be expecting to study modules within their degree, and ultimately becoming an expert in their field when they graduate. Our academics are very well known, published. Some academics have research interests and activities outside of the university, which again makes it really interesting for the students, as all this experience can be brought in the classroom. Most degrees in the UK are completed in 3 years, so it's a more compact way of being taught at undergraduate level. The programs are still very, very robust. The degrees are